In 2006, a gang of four masterminded one of the largest heists in history. The story began when these armed men stormed a major bank in Argentina. Their faces were covered, and they threatened the employees, saying, "Anyone who doesn't want to die, stay still." One of the employees managed to press the alarm button without the gang noticing. Despite the police's quick response, the gang was faster. They vanished swiftly and skillfully before the police arrived. Initially, the police believed the operation was a failure and that the thieves hadn't managed to steal anything. But when the bank's vault manager inspected it, he found it completely empty, stripped of gold, money, and valuable documents. The investigation revealed that the gang's plan was far more intricate and cunning than anyone had imagined. The leader, Fernando Urch, was the mastermind behind the crime. Although he led a seemingly ordinary life, he suffered from severe depression, and the heist was his way of breaking the monotony and satisfying his craving for excitement and thrill. While riding his bike through the streets of Buenos Aires, Fernando found himself deep in thought. As he rode silently, he happened upon one of Argentina's largest banks, Banco Rio. This bank was known as a haven for the wealthy, where they stored their jewelry, gold, vast amounts of cash, and corporate assets. Fernando returned home, his curiosity growing about the idea of robbing the bank. He decided to start planning seriously. Grabbing a pen and paper, he began jotting down his thoughts. At first, he considered the traditional approach, storming the bank and quickly grabbing the ham. However, he realized that this method wouldn't get him into the underground vault and that he might be caught quickly. Then, a bolder idea struck him. Why not dig a tunnel underground that leads directly to the bank's central vault? Fernando faced a significant challenge. The bank was equipped with advanced alarm systems and body heat sensors. Nevertheless, he decided to go with his second plan, as it offered larger spoils and a better chance of success. Fernando began his daily rounds around the bank, observing the area and looking for any weaknesses. He noticed something crucial that would make his plan easier: large sewer openings spaced every 10 meters near the bank. He realized this meant there was a sewer tunnel running underground close to the bank. Fernando decided to explore this tunnel. He followed the sewer openings to the main outlet, which was 200 meters from the bank. Fernando entered the tunnel and began exploring, discovering that it was vast and complex. This meant he would need an entire team to help him execute his plan. After exiting the tunnel, Fernando decided to contact his old friend, Sebastian, who was an expert engineer in technology and mechanical sciences. When Sebastian received the call, he was surprised by Fernando's sudden return after a long time, especially when Fernando told him directly, "We want to rob a bank." Sebastian was taken aback and asked, "You want to rob a bank? This is serious business." Fernando confidently replied, "I know it's dangerous, but I chose you because you're a genius with technology. I have a plan that will make the operation 100% successful. If you join me, you'll become very rich. This is my promise." Sebastian was hesitant at first, but Fernando exploited Sebastian's weak spot by reminding him that this same bank had seized his father's money 10 years ago. As soon as Sebastian heard this, his attitude changed, and he asked eagerly, "When do we start?" He didn't hesitate for a moment and was ready to join immediately. Sebastian went with Fernando to the sewer opening to measure the distance between it and the bank. After determining the measurements, the next step was the vault. Sebastian entered the bank and asked the manager to show him where the gold and valuable deposits were stored. The staff led him to the vault where the jewelry and assets of Argentina's wealthiest were kept. Out of the staff's sight, Sebastian secretly took photos of the vault. Afterward, he told the staff that he had changed his mind and no longer wanted to deposit the gold there, claiming that the place wasn't secure. He left the bank and called Fernando to inform him that they needed a third partner to fund the operation since they would have to craft special tools to open the vault. They began searching for a financial partner and contacted Beto Latore. Beto told them that he didn't have the money at the moment, but could raise the funds by selling a truck he had previously stolen. With that money, he would buy the tools that they needed for the job. The three then realized they needed a fourth member for the mission, someone physically strong enough to endure long hours of digging with heavy equipment like jackhammers and drills. Beto, the financier, suggested he had someone in mind who might be perfect for the job. Latore contacted his old friend, Luis Silanes, a former inmate who was known in prison as the Violent One. This man was notorious for his ability to deceive and impersonate anyone he encountered, in addition to his sharp intelligence and quick execution of tasks. Luis was considered a powerful addition to the team due to his experience and strength, which would become evident in the details of the operation and his vital role in digging the tunnel. The team began digging the tunnel at night after entering the sewer pipes. While they worked in the tunnel, Fernando was busy designing suits resistant to the bank's thermal sensors. These suits were designed to maintain their body temperatures so that the bank's sensors wouldn't detect them. As the suit designs were completed, Fernando felt that something was missing. He knew that the bank's thermal sensor was highly sensitive and that the suits he had made might not be enough. After deep thought, a new idea came to Fernando to overcome this problem. Fernando called the gang and announced his new plan. He told them they would combine the traditional armed robbery method with the tunnel strategy. This way they would confuse the bank and the police, throwing them into chaos and disarray. After carrying out the heist, they would use the secret tunnel to escape, rendering the thermal sensors completely useless. Beto Latore, the financier, agreed to the plan and assured them that he would provide all the necessary weapons. He also mentioned that he had a particular type of weapon, lightweight and fast-moving, that would be very useful. He hinted that he was planning something that could radically change the course of the plan, but he kept the details vague. The engineer Sebastian asked Fernando about the escape plan, pointing out that if they broke into the bank and entered through the tunnel, the police would expect them to be hiding in the sewers. Suddenly, someone suggested a new idea, saying, "I have a plan, an unconventional one, to evade the police." This person was Luis Solanas, the strong member of the gang. He continued, "I found an old, very dilapidated truck with a large hole in the middle. After asking about the truck, I discovered that it had been in an explosion and was sold by some homeless people at a scrap market. We can use this truck by placing it over the sewer opening where we'll emerge. When we come out of the hole, we'll hide in the truck so no one will see us and we'll be able to escape from the police unnoticed." And so they went and bought the truck from the yard and placed it in the garage at the house. Suddenly, a blonde, very beautiful woman appeared, and it was clear she was Beto's girlfriend. They looked at Beto in surprise and asked, "You told us you were alone. Who is she?" Beto smiled and said, "There is no need to worry. I trust her completely." Then the engineer began working on a new invention, a device capable of breaking any lock placed on it, which would be of great importance in carrying out the operation. On the day of the heist, all the gang members wore their masks, armed themselves, and stormed the bank. Within minutes, the alarm started blaring, and patrols rushed to the scene, surrounding the bank from all sides. They used the hostages as human shields, giving the gang extra time to fortify their positions inside the bank. This move left the police trapped and restricted, forcing them to handle the situation with extreme caution. At that moment, Luis, the violent member of the gang, approached the bank officials. He said to them seriously, "Listen, we didn't come here just to rob. We are a suicide squad, and our goal is to blow this place up. We've planted bombs all over the bank." He then showed them his explosive belt, which was actually filled with fake bombs. Luis added, "If you want to save your lives, you need to leave the premises immediately." The employees, terrified, fled the bank, leaving the place completely empty. One of the employees told an officer that one of the gang members had taken his phone. Immediately, the officer called the phone and began observing Luis from the window. Noticing this, Luis said, "I know you're watching me from the window. I'm an old criminal and know all your moves. Don't play games with me because I don't have time for maneuvers. If you make any move without consulting me or try to bother me, I will blow up the bank and everything in it without hesitation." Luis then called Fernando, the gang leader, and said, "Listen, we're buying time until the tunnel is fully dug. We need to keep up the preparations to ensure the operation's success." After 3 hours, Fernando called Luis and said, "Hey Luis, Sebastian the engineer is with us, and we've completed all the preparations. We've opened the vault using the machine we made, and we're inside the vault now. We're taking all the gold and money in there, and we're thinking about the next step." To buy more time, Luis called the chief officer and said, "Listen, we're very tired and have decided to surrender. We're hungry and have nothing to eat or drink. But we have one condition. You must bring us pizza from an Italian restaurant, and make sure it's from the farthest restaurant from the bank to buy us some more time." Then he hung up on the officer. After ending the call, Luis tossed the phone aside and rushed to help Fernando and Sebastian in the vault. They worked quickly, packing the gold, money, and jewelry into bags and loading them into the tunnel. Even the weapons, wrapped in cloth, were thrown into the pit, which they then completely covered before leaving. They descended into the sewers and waited for their third accomplice, who had prepared an inflatable boat in advance for their escape. They had arranged everything for the operation. Afterward, they used a long ladder they had prepared to open the sewer grate, which they had covered with the car they bought from the scrap market. They opened the manhole cover they had placed the car over, climbed out, and hid inside the vehicle before driving to their secret hideout. Once they reached their hideout, Luis decided to check the police's reaction to their clever plan. He turned on the TV to watch the news and found that the police had not yet stormed the bank. Initially, it seemed like the police were still trying to breach the bank, and they were wondering about the thieves who had requested the pizza but had not responded. The gang members laughed heartily as they watched the police struggle to reach Louis and the pizza he had ordered, while Louis deliberately ignored their calls. Meanwhile, back at their hideout, they were busy opening the bags of gold, jewelry, and cash they had stolen, all while keeping an eye on the unfolding drama on television. When the police finally decided to storm the hideout, they were met with an empty space. The gang had already fled. The only signs of their presence were the hostages lying on the floor. The police searched every corner and discovered the peculiar pit the gang had used. Upon inspection, they found the bombs that Louis had threatened them with. Bomb disposal experts were called in, and their report was shocking. The bombs that had been used to intimidate the police were entirely fake. Meanwhile, the gang celebrated their successful heist and the treasure they had amassed. They decided to split the loot and return to their normal lives. However, the financier, Beto, faced a problem. When he got home, he found his girlfriend eyeing the huge pile of money with increasing anxiety. She began to worry that Beto might abandon her now that he was wealthy and leave her on the streets. Unable to believe what she saw, she went straight to the police. She informed them that Beto was the mastermind behind the bank robbery and that he had the stolen money. Beto was quickly apprehended, followed by the arrest of the rest of the gang members, one by one. After the gang's capture, they refused to reveal the location of the stolen goods to the police. After serving 4 years in prison, the gang members were released due to their good behavior and conduct. Their sentence wasn't harsh because of the clever strategy they had employed. They had anticipated a small chance that Beto's girlfriend might betray them, so they used fake guns and non-functional devices during the heist. The gang had no real weapons or advanced equipment. All the tools they used were fake. In the end, what they did was merely to scare the authorities and disrupt security, resulting in a very light sentence. The bank clients were compensated by insurance companies for the stolen money, which was never recovered. Despite everything, the 4 members of the gang continue to live happily thanks to the brilliant operation they executed. And with that, we reach the end. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment. See you in the next video.